Hello, friends. Welcome to Indie Bookstore Festival, the first of its kind festival of independent bookstores in the country. And who better to be our guest today than the maverick, four times National Award winning director, producer, writer, and music composer Vishal Bhardwaj, who has based several of his films on books. Vishal, welcome to the Indie Bookstore Festival.
Thank you, Komal. Thank you. I'm so happy and honored to be here.
It's our honor to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think you have got millions of admirers. Your films are so different from the other filmmakers. Is it only because they are based on books, or there is some other quality of your films which the others can't, or which the other films lack?
No, I can't say about this, but I think the filmmaking and the films are actually the very individualistic journey, and every filmmaker has its own interiority to share with the audience. So, actually, I believe that with films, you can see a person behind a film. So, like the actors, they can hide behind their characters, but the director can't. His ideology, his politics, his social standing, all his standpoints on society, he cannot hide behind because you cannot lie as a filmmaker. And whenever you want try to lie, you fail.
Yeah.
So I think and that's why nobody knows, what, because I think I make the films, and I'm sure about other filmmakers also. When I make the films, I don't see it as something very special. It's like I'm expressing myself. So that's my interiority, which is coming on screen.
Okay. As you said, I'm expressing myself. Um, when did you think that expressing yourselves by making or by converting books into films is the best way?
Uh, when I read Macbeth for the first time,
Hmm.
so in school, the Shakespeare, he scares you because you have to, uh, yeah, you have to आपको रट्टा मारना पड़ता है उसमें,
Yes,
and
exactly.
you don't
मैं यही
understand.
कहने वाला था. हाँ, हाँ.
Yeah, and you don't understand what is he talking about because these are, I think, all his plays, they are so rich in depth that they should be read and taught once you have crossed 30. Then you know the actually the nuances of the
Shakespeare and
play.
his writings. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. One thing I realized very soon in my life, in my filmmaking life, that I don't have that kind of depth which a genius like Shakespeare can provide, and I always want to go for the best, and that's what pushed me to go towards the literature. And I had seen films based on Shakespeare's plays. One was Kurosawa's Throne of Blood.
Hmm, hmm.
And then when I decided to adapt Macbeth, I watched many other adaptation of Shakespeare's films, and I realized that how commercial those that plot is, and to adapt it into your own culture was a challenge, and that's where I was very happy that I took that challenge and made those story my own. So I read Macbeth for the first time when I was traveling in a train from Dehradun to Delhi with my godson, and he was coming back so on holidays, and I was getting it was like a 4 5 hours journey. I didn't have anything to read, so I asked him, "Do you have any school stories, storybook in your bag?" He said, "Yeah, I have." So he showed me that Lamb's abridged version of Shakespeare tales, In
Mhm,
that,
mhm.
I read Macbeth, and the moment I read, I completed it. I decided that I was looking for a story which can be adapted in underworld genre, and that's where I decided that I'm going to make a film on it.
Oh, wow. What's your godson's name?
His name is Alap Majgaonkar.
So, Alap Madgaonkar, we should thank him for inspiring you, or his books for inspiring you to make
Yes, yes,
cinema
yes,
based on books.
yes.
You just mentioned in the previous answer, previous reply, that you don't think you are as good as Shakespeare, and you don't think you have his depth. Then, weren't you fearful that you might not be able to do justice to his stories while adapting them for the screen?
When I was making Macbeth, uh, I didn't imagine that it will go that far. I thought that it's a story which I am making, and who bothers about Shakespeare in this country, and especially film industry. And in fact, I was told by many financiers that whenever I used to give the script for somebody to read and raise finance,
Mhm.
so few of my friends, they said that it's a good script. We are not interested, but there is an advice. Please take out Shakespeare's name from this because people will think it's something literary and it will be boring. So I thought, it will be. I was looking for the depth for my own sake, for my own satisfaction, and I didn't think that it will go that far as it is. Who cares? And after these reactions from various and all the stars, I went to almost every star, and he refused the role that the hero is a loser. So I thought that who is going to bother about Shakespeare? And I think because of that, I took so many liberties. Because I didn't have the baggage of Shakespeare on my head, which
In
later
Makbul, huh?
became yeah. Later I was very conscious, but then I tried not to be burdened by that baggage.
In fact, you've led me to my next question. Um, how important is it to remain absolutely true to the book you are remaking, or there is something called cinematic liberties, and therefore it's completely all right to change whatever you feel like?
Yeah, actually, you need to take cinematic liberty because these are two different mediums.
Hmm.
But you have to be very honest to the soul of the book.
Okay.
You can change the text, but you can't change the soul of the book. So that's what my journey has been. That I tried to remain true to the soul, not to the text.
Okay. Okay. So that is very important, that you remain true to the soul. You can add, subtract, delete
Yeah,
things, but the soul should not be lost.
yeah, exactly.
So your Macbeth, Shakespeare's Macbeth was your Makbul. Shakespeare's Othello was your Omkara. Shakespeare's Hamlet was your Heather. Uh, why this special affinity to Shakespeare, or one film, and then you thought that let me continue?
I didn't get the question.
No, I said three films you made based on Shakespeare's plays. So why this special affinity for translating Shakespeare's plays into films? Or you thought that first film अगर शेक्सपियर की बनाई है तो चलो दूसरी फिल्म में भी शेक्सपियर की ही ट्राई करते हैं, वो लत लग गई?
No, actually, I took long. I took first I made Macbeth, and then I made Blue Umbrella in between. That was also
Correct,
based on a book. And
correct.
then I made Omkara, and after
Omkara.
Omkara, I took like 7 years gap,
Hmm,
and
hmm,
that gap was not intentional because it's not easy to adapt Shakespeare because the biggest problem you find adapting Shakespeare into any genre is the setting of the film. That how do
correct.
you set uh, like uh, in Macbeth or in Omkara or even in say Hamlet, you need a little lawlessness, and in today's world the society is formed, there is a rule of law. In those days it was not like that, so even the duels used to happen, people used to kill each other, which was legal at that point. So to find the right resonance in the setting of a film becomes
Hmm.
challenging. That's the most challenging part. And once I find that, then things are very easier for me. Where do I find the parallel for, uh, you know, a son killing his father in Macbeth,
Correct.
where Macbeth is like the son to King Duncan, and he's instigated by his wife. And I didn't like that point that he's instigated by his wife. That
Hmm.
wife, and so that's why I made her the mistress of Duncan. So, where do you find this kind of setting? Only the
Hmm.
underworld you can find it.
Correct. And how do you ensure that you take a book, a Shakespeare's book, or any other book, and how do you ensure that you make a commercial drama out of it? Because finally, it's a commerce. Filmmaking is a commerce. It's not that you make a film for your own self. You want to make it for as many people as possible so that it makes as much money as possible, the film. So, how do you balance between the original book and the commercial ingredients or the commercial value?
I think uh, that comes because that the play, if the story is a story, should have that kind of material in it. So then, and the times have changed. I felt so much. I, I went through a lot of problems when I was making Macbeth. And in Omkara, there was none, and in Heather, there was none. So times are also changing, people are also growing, and they want to see now totally, it's a totally different time because of OTT platforms. And there's so much content is available, there's so much, every kind of content is available on. So you have to compete with the quality of, and the great dramas are happening on platforms, the quality of those films in terms of not just drama but the execution, the production value. I mean, the Crown's pilot episodes budget was 126 crores. So, so only the pilot of 30-40 minutes.
Wow.
So that kind of money is being spent, which is we never thought that we'll see this kind of time in our life, because we thought that TV is like, it's like series, it's like serials, TV serials.
Hmm.
We never
Hmm.
thought that that kind of money will be spent on just on the pilots. And here
Hmm.
also the money is being spent like that now, not in
Hmm.
that ratio, but
Hmm. Hmm.
like that.
Hmm. You mentioned a few minutes back that you went to so many actors for Makbul, but they turned down um, because of their reasons. How did Irfan Khan agree?
Irfan that time was not big. He was playing character artist.
So then, how
And
did you think of casting him as the hero? I mean, weren't you scared, or weren't your financiers scared?
I think this credit goes to Bobby Bedi. He was the producer of the film.
Hmm.
And when he read the script, he said, "You make the film you have," because with him being producer, I went to many actors who declined for their reasons, and when I met him, by that time I had exhausted all the commercial stars. So when he read the script, I told him that there is no star is going to play this. He said, "I don't want a star. You take anyone, but make
Oh.
the film you have narrated or you have written." So I think there's a great thing in him. He's a bad businessman, but he's a great producer.
But tell me, what are the challenges when you adapt a book for the screen?
What is it?
Vis-a-vis when the challenges vis-a-vis making an original subject, which is not a book.
Uh,
As you said, first is one is you recreate that era, and it has to resonate with the audience. But any other challenges?
yeah, what to drop is
Ah.
a big challenge. There's
Hmm.
so many good things because sometimes the plays are like, they are written so long and you have to make a 2-hour film. So what to drop, how to
Hmm.
combine characters. Like in Macbeth, there were three witches. I made them two cops, and sometimes, like I was telling you about Shraddha's character in Heather. So in Hamlet, there's Ophelia and one more character who is Hamlet's friend. So I combined two of them together. So that's also not a challenge, but you have to keep thinking about it. And so that's another challenge. Then uh, yeah, I mean the length, cutting the length is the main what to drop. For that you have to drop something.
And to decide that is a challenging task.
Yeah, that's the challenging task.
But if I were to ask you whether it's easier to make a film based on a book or to make an original film, a story which comes to your mind or which some other writer gets to you, what is the easier one?
Obviously, adaptation is easier. Why do you think that I am doing all these years? Because it's the easiest way to make a film. But the satisfaction is also different. If you make an original film which has completely germinated out of you, you get a different kind of satisfaction. So, yeah, that's definitely there. The degree is different for both. The happiness is different for both.
And you feel that the happiness when you make an original film is more than the happiness when you make a film based on a book.
Yes, of course.
You are a voracious reader.
No, actually, I'm a lazy reader, but when I get something which excites me that I can make a film on, then my speed is different. So,
So
yeah,
it's difficult for you to pick up a book, but once if you pick up and if it is a good and interesting book, then it's difficult for you to keep it aside.
yeah, then the energy changes in me. Once I know that, there's a material which I can make a film on or I can adapt it. So, it's a different energy. Then I read it with a different energy.
So would it be right to say that you read only when you get excited that it can be converted into a film, not otherwise? Reading for the sake of reading, you are not very fond
Yeah,
of.
you can say that, but still I try to keep something that I read like 2 3 pages or 5 pages a day of something new. That I still try to do that. But yeah, but main thing is that it's a very selfish way of to this craft of reading.
That's right. As a child, what were you like? Were you fond of reading?
No, no, I was not fond of reading it. But I was fond of reading of like spy novels and yeah, murder mysteries. Yeah, those kind of things. Not serious at all.
And when did you think you could become a filmmaker or that you wanted to become a filmmaker?
That's very late. When my career of music started going wrong. That's where I decided to become a filmmaker.
And God forbid, if your career as a filmmaker would have gone wrong,
Yeah, that's the chance I wanted to take because that way I'm very fearless. I don't care because life is too short to be fearful. One has to be fearless and fearless, but at the same time very practical in a way that you can't live in a fool's paradise. You should know your well. You should know your weaknesses. If you don't need to know your strengths, but you definitely need to know your weakness, and that becomes your strength.
and if I were to ask you to expose yourself and reveal a couple of weaknesses that you have, which you have realized,
Like that original stories which I lack, and uska bhi actually reason is not that I lack. It's that the profoundness or the deep aesthetics. If I find some in somebody else's work, then I feel small. That why can't I do something like that? And if I fail to do something like that, then I rather take it and make it my own. So it comes from that point. Uh, because if you know something is really great, uh, something is really very profound, something is really very deep, and you want to do something like that, but you fail, then you say, if I can't match the depthness, the depth of this particular work, then I won't do it. And the weaknesses are, yeah, my biggest weakness is that I don't think in terms of commerce. I don't make films for people. I make films for myself that I should like it first, and then I care it. I don't care about what people will feel or they will think about it.
I hope
I
none of
think
your producers and prospective producers are watching this.
yeah. That's why I had to be my own producer.
Any international or Indian filmmakers you admire or whose work you admire who base their films on books?
I think Satyajit Ray's 90% of Satyajit Ray's work is on is adaptation of book. If not 95, I think it's 95% of his work. All his films are based on, mostly are based on books. And yeah, I think a lot of filmmakers do that. They adapt short stories, they adapt books, and there's no harm in that because I think they're two different. Because a book writer, it will be very difficult for him to become a screenwriter.
Correct.
Not necessarily he may fail, and I have seen many people failed when they write their when the book writer writes the script of his own film, they write it badly. So these are two different crafts. So I see myself as a screenwriter. I don't see myself as a story writer.
So there is no chance that filmmaker Vishal Bhardwaj will write a book which perhaps some other filmmaker will adapt.
That I don't know, but definitely I would like to write a novel. It's not it's a different mindset. It's a different approach that you have to write it with. So I would love to write a novel someday.
Wow, that would be someday. Of course, your films are entertaining people, but I wish your novel also, the novel you write also, you write a novel actually, so that it's entertainment of a different kind. Vishal, before you leave, since it's the Indie Bookstore Festival, I would like to ask you about some bookstore memory that you may have. You must be visiting bookstores.
Yeah, I visited a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, I remember one in my childhood.
Mhm.
You know, I found there was this very small bookstore in Meerut,
Mhm.
and we used to go there to buy actually cards for girlfriends. You know, you have to give them cards, thank you card, a birthday card. And in that one day, I found Guldar Saab's book Kuch Aur Nazme, and that's how my introduction to Guldar Saab started.
Wow. And today you consider him a father figure, and
Yeah,
your
he's my mentor. I'm his part. He's the tree. I am his branch.
wow,
Yeah.
very well expressed.
Yeah.
Very well expressed. Phenomenal. Vishal, it has been fantastic talking to you. And thank you so much for shedding so much light on the topic of books to cinema. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Komal. Thank you. Bye. Bye.